Did you know that apples are the most popular fruit consumed in the United States? It is apple picking time in Ohio. Let's talk apples on Extension Today.
Extension Today is sponsored by the Ohio State University College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences.
We grow lots of different varieties of apples in Ohio, pretty much all of the ones that you would see at the store. If a homeowner wants to grow apples, however, there's a little bit of work involved because apples are not the easiest fruit to grow in your backyard. There's several things that you're going to want to do to make sure that your apple production matches your expectation. The first is make sure you pick a great site. You need full sun. You need to have good air circulation around those apple trees because you don't want them to get fungal infection. Make sure that you pick the right cultivars. So an interesting fact about apples is they need pollination, but they don't pollinate within the same variety. So say if you wanted to pollinate your Gold Rush apple, which is a great variety here for Ohio, you wouldn't get another Gold Rush. You would get something like an Enterprise, and then you would have pollination, and that's going to increase your production chance. The homeowner also wants to make sure they make wise selections of what variety they're going to plant in Ohio because, quite honestly, there's so many things that like to bug apples. Besides bugs, you have nuisance wildlife, you have any different kind of pest, and so spraying is very commonly needed to make sure that you don't lose your harvest. There's been a lot of research in apples designed to take some of those old-time varieties and kick up the flavor, kick up the disease resistance, kick up the storage life so that we can enjoy apples for a much longer time throughout the year. My colleague, Dr. Jessica Cooperstone, an assistant professor in the Department of Horticulture and Crop Science, has some really interesting projects she's working on.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're trying to better understand how apples make health beneficial compounds so that we can modify and breed apples in such a way to make them better and healthier for us.
Outstanding. So are you working on any particular varieties?
So what we're trying to do now is look across lots of different varieties. Apples are so unique in that they're one of the few fruits when you go to the grocery store, you see enormous variety in the types of apples you can buy. And so what we're trying to do is understand the variation that exists within apples so we can harness it for making better apples. So taking on the job of improving apples is really a mammoth task, and if we want to make apples healthier, we need people from different backgrounds who can help us accomplish this goal. So my group is interested in understanding which compounds apples produce, how we can modify them, and how these compounds might provide benefit to humans. My colleague Diane Miller, an associate professor in horticulture and crop science, is an apple extension guru, and she knows everything about growing and producing apples here in Ohio. Jonathan Fresnado Ramirez, an assistant professor in horticulture and crop science who is a genomicist and bioinformaticist and knows a lot about the genetics of perennial crops like apples. Emmanuel Hatsakis, who is an assistant professor in food science and technology, and a former graduate student and staff member, Emma Bilbrey, from my team, who really took all of these different aspects and put them together to make a nice cohesive project and develop a platform that helps us to move towards apple improvement.
Jessica, that all sounds absolutely amazing. Making Ohio apples better for Ohioans. Well, I hope you've learned something about apples today. Make sure that you get a chance to get out and pick your own apples. They're in season right now. And for all the tips and tricks that we've discussed about apple harvesting, storage, picking, cooking, head to go.osu.edu/Extension Today.
Extension Today is sponsored by the Ohio State University College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences.